Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to start. Dear President of the German Rectors Conference, lieber Herr Alt, dear Mr. Dittmar, dear colleague Professor Loprieno, and dear participants of the Global University Leaders Council 2019, dear guests, I'm really delighted to welcome you to Universität Hamburg today in the year of our university's 100th anniversary. This anniversary permits us to include the topic of our conference, which brings together 45 outstanding leaders of several world-class universities for the third time already in the discussion. Why is it so? 1919, the year of the university, the year when the university was founded, saw a long-standing debate come to an end in Imperial Germany about whether a university was of any use to the port and trading city of Hamburg. Before the German Revolution of 1918 and 1919, the majority of the city's decision makers had persistently rejected the idea. Yet on the 28th March 1919, the time was ripe. A social democrat majority in the Hamburg parliament succeeded in founding the university with a sudden shift in their argument. It was no longer about the usefulness of a university for merchants and shipping companies, but whether university education could dismantle class differences. This was precisely what the protagonists of the university's foundation had in mind. By opening a university for all, it would be possible to guarantee education and, as a consequence, socio-economic progress for all, which would ultimately end class differences. This small example shows us that the topic of tonight's opening ceremony, How Political Must Universities Be, based upon a study by Peter Maaßen entitled The Place of Universities in Society, was already relevant back then, although the answers were patently different from the ones that threaten us today. Well, yes, threaten. I frankly confess that the results of the study by Maaßen and his colleagues horrified me somewhat. Yet they also reinforced me in my view, as expressed in my thesis from 2015, that we are facing an imperialistic, increasingly aggressive Atlantic understanding of the university, which is poised to destroy alternative, historically rooted concepts of the university. For if you read the results of the study closely, it becomes apparent that Germany is deemed lacking in its efforts to realize the third mission alongside research and teaching. For this reason, according to the authors, I quote, "The way forward is to rebalance the university's three missions and build on the achievements realized until now." And they continue, I quote, "This requires a more proactive university leadership, more managerial and academic capacity for the university's third mission strategies and activities, more effective university personnel policies, and more diverse academic staff career possibilities, and more truly innovative new study programs and educational tracks." Support for an analysis such as this is only conceivable if one assumes that the Atlantic, that is the Anglo-American understanding of the university, can be applied generally across the globe. Yet this is not the case. Rather, there is a sharp philosophical divide between countries with the Atlantic understanding of the university, that is, for instance, the USA, the UK, the Scandinavian countries, and the Netherlands, and the remaining continental European countries on the other hand. Historically speaking, the continental European understanding of the university did not seek to many universities, science and scholarship fungible commodities. This is the great historical achievement of the founding of the Berlin University in 1810, that the state which established the university resisted the temptation to assign it particular tasks. The Prussian state in that time vested its trust in the university's professors more or less in advance, under the assumption that they would know better than anyone else what scientific knowledge should be pursued and how this was to be done, and that professors should not be expected to deal with the question of whether their scientific findings are useful. Why? Knowledge emerges from and builds upon existing knowledge, not from possible needs. This was why the Berlin University was not founded as a private institution, but instead completely financed by the state. And thus the basis for a development that was to benefit University of Hamburg in its founding hour was created, that a democratically elected government defines the purpose of a university in both the name and the interests of all the citizens and it represents. This differs markedly to those countries in which higher education has degenerated into a business enterprise. We can readily correlate this with the fact that German universities, which are protected by relevant legislation, are today still in a position to act autonomously, even though we may not be able to depend upon sufficient basic funding from the individual states to cover all operations. To put it simply, an educational institution run in the name of the people, using funds provided by the people, that is tax revenue, must guarantee access to every person who fulfills the intellectual requirements. And it must carry out research that is, in principle, accessible for all and, at its best, helps individuals to realize their one good life. And this is why there is a duty to publish research results in Germany. Today's open access is thus closely linked to this 200-year-old ideal, even though publishing houses charge, indeed must charge, money for the publications containing the results of research. I repeat, in a democracy, a university that is a public institution has the function of being without function. It cannot be rendered fungible for particular purposes. The public university belongs to all, and is there for all. This is why German universities do not charge tuition fees. And so that no one gets the idea of influencing research results or their distribution and communication for their own benefit, or putting pressure on professors to conduct research on a particular matter. The German constitution guarantees science and scholarship, and with that university teaches unlimited autonomy. Professors and lecturers decide what they want to research, how they want to research, with which means they want to research, and how they pass on their research results and knowledge to the next generation. They are not bound to follow orders. This is not the understanding of the university in many other countries. The result is visible, High tuition fees at universities lead to social disparities. Researchers have to seek private sources of funding, and in so doing, either fulfill the expectations of the contractor or forsake research entirely. If this is not understood, then it is also not understandable as to why there is a fundamental aversion to the idea of the third mission within German higher education, particularly in the so-called comprehensive universities, whose number does not include the technical universities and universities of applied sciences, against which the German Rectors' Conference has also put up strong resistance. And this is why a third mission of any shape or form plays no role in the mission statement of German universities, although federal state governments sometimes expect one. Universities obediently formulate such mission statements, however, they are of absolutely no consequence. The reason is simple and is the first thing that a student of philosophy learns. We cannot derive norms from norms, just as it is not possible to derive actions from norms. Does this mean that German universities, or indeed University of Hamburg, do or does not bother about the interests of society? Of course not. Absolutely not. In fact, the opposite is the case. The place of universities in society, however, is interpreted differently. In an exemplary matter, the German Council of Science and Humanities, the Wissenschaftsrat, has pointed out that transfer, that is the third mission, does not take place primarily in applied research, but rather in the communication of research results, in consultation on the basis of what is known, and only thirdly in the realm of application. Here in Hamburg, this means that we work together intensively in the sense of trans, not interdisciplinary, with cultural institutions, with the aim of enlightenment in the classical sense of the word, with theaters, museums, concert halls, operas, and so on. It also means that we provide a free pool of experts able to provide advice or information on the basis of their knowledge for all manner of questions to members of the public, and in particular the press, so that this information can be disseminated widely. But that is not a third mission. These activities are an integral part of research and teaching. One could argue that research and teaching, indeed scientific knowledge, serve either all humans, or if they do not, then we are no longer dealing with scientific knowledge, but instead with private, secret knowledge of the sort that has been preferred in the Vatican over centuries. Does this now mean that in Germany and in Hamburg there is no third mission at all? I would like to answer this question with a quote and with the inscription engraved over the top of a door. During the debate over the foundation of Universität Hamburg on 28 March 1919, one of the members of parliament who supported the idea of a university for Hamburg stood up and said that the university, I quote, must not yield to receiving its problems first from the city's merchants or industry and working on their behalf, but the other way round. What it, the university, develops of its free initiative, that is what practice must make use of. That is both a clear statement and a legacy all at once. And so that no one forgets this, the architects of the building in which we find ourselves today, engraved over the main entrance, you may have seen it, der Forschung, der Lehre, der Bildung, which in English translates to research, to teach, to educate and form. And there you have it, the third mission, Bildung. Bildung is the third duty of the university, and Bildung means leading humans toward humanity through research and teaching, while on the very long journey they must take, creating a world in which it is worthwhile living. Could that not be an idea of a university of the world everywhere on this globe? I would now like to give the floor to tonight's speaker and my esteemed colleague, Professor Antonio Loprieno, who is going to analyze the political role of universities in a keynote entitled, How Political Should Universities Be? Bridging Autonomy and Third Mission in the Age of Simulations. After his talk, there will be the opportunity of questions from the audience, moderated by Mrs. Annalena Scholz from that site. We will then complete the evening with a panel discussion, including the Senator for Science and Research and second mayor of the Free and Hanseatic City of Hamburg, Katharina Fegebank, the president of the German Rectors Conference, Peter André Alt, the rector of the University of Campinas, Marcello Knobel, and the president of the Association of American Colleges and Universities, Lynn Pascarella. Now, Professor Loprieno, the floor is yours. Thank you very much.